Today's Saturday, August 1st. It's 8:04:36 p.m. CT. And I'm Evan Mendez, if you don't know. So I just woke up and I'm behind on homework, but I feel like, okay, I'm just going to get on here and speak my mind. And that makes me feel better. Just like venting to myself, I guess. I have nobody else to vent to anyway. And the VA this week was much better. I feel like on Friday, I almost got through the entire hospital visit without a situation, but then I had a situation. I think look, this phlebotomist named Donnie did that. And the one that I always go to, the one that I always end up getting, she's never done that before. And I've been there forever. All I know is that's not really good. But anyways, I brought it to the attention of whoever the supervisor was, in Nakia Jackson, and so then they were like, do you need anything else? I was like, no, because I didn't need anything else. And then, but I wasn't going to like waste the trip. I try to make the most of my VA trips with like, how do I say? I try to make the most of it, and then with like, I consider like sometimes the PX has been really like messy, so I'm like, I'm not gonna buy anything. And sometimes the chow hall, like, I don't know, I see stuff and I'm like, it's dirty or whatever. I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna eat today. Sometimes I go to the pizza place, and they used to have gyros. I think they used to have something Greek. I can't remember. And now they don't have it anymore. They just have pizza. So I'm just like, no, that's lame. And then I go to pharmacy if I need to, but lately I haven't had to go to pharmacy. I don't really like any of those vendors in the back. I don't know. I really don't mingle over there. They did put new stuff in the cafe, like they put new microwaves and vending machines, but I don't know. None of that stuff really draws out to me. So none of that stuff like wows me or anything like that. So then, so first I had OT. That went well. Then I went to, where did I go? I feel like I went to tell that supervisor or whatever next, and then I went to, where did I go to? Oh, then I went to endocrine, and they have a paper, like a not a paper shredder, but we like dispose of sensitive papers, and I put almost for the most part all the important Tesla paperworks and whatever the arbitration paperwork, the stuff that I thought was important, the stuff that I sent to the international trade courts. And then I was like, I just left it in God's hands because I know that the check that I had from Tesla would be super like important or super vital proof. One, even though everybody thinks I'm nuts and I never worked for Tesla, and two, proof that I worked for them or whatever, but like the corporation name was on the check. I'm sure there's more checks, but I think that was one of my first checks. Close. I think that was the one they gave me with my taxes. I'm sure there's other checks. I know I had maybe. I think I had two written checks, maybe, and I think everything else was direct deposit. I had one check when I was an intern, and this is just what I remember because I know I had one check for a fact when I was an intern, and then they gave me another check with my W-2 stuff, and that was like later down the road when I started going through my workplace injury stuff, and I'm almost positive that's right. Yes. So I was like, okay, like, do I just put this in the shredder and just trust God? that I did. So I was like, okay, I took a picture of it, then I put it in there. I was like, okay. I was like, God, please put the check in there. And then I rolled myself over to labs because my specialty provider put in labs for me. And so I go upstairs to, I think it was the third floor. I thought it was the fourth, but it ended up being the third floor. So I go to the third floor to get my labs, and I had reached out to LabCorp last time, and they were like, "I don't understand why Michael DeBakey can't do it there themselves, like the entire test themselves." But whatever, for whatever they send it out, they like outsource it with a different with LabCorp to do it. I think I said that right. Whatever. So then I get the paperwork, and then they said that they could do the UA there. So then I go back, and the UA is done in the same place where I was telling them about this. And so then I go back down, and I pull a number, I wait, I get called, I get the UA, they tell me go down the hall, last door on the left. One, the lady seemed super grouchy. Some old lady that was there, and I don't discriminate, but she was like super grouchy, just sitting down grouchy in like a scrub gown. And so then there was this guy, allegedly his name is Mr. Anderson or whatever, I don't know. Some guy that's intentionally being a jerk. So then I went to the restroom. And when I went to the restroom in the clinic in that lab, there was like a catheter. I'm assuming that's what it was. It was on the floor with pee or whatever that was. And I was like, that's disgusting. So then I'm in my wheelchair, and I scooted up to the toilet. I used the handlebar. I pee in the cup. The restroom's disgusting, so I don't want to just lay my pee anywhere. And so then I flushed the toilet, and I'm still getting ready, and I think like three times the door knocks. And most of the time it's that guy being a jerk. I said, occupied, I'm in here, whatever. He's being a jerk. So he started to be a jerk, and I was, zipping my pants up, trying to get into my wheelchair and buckle up. And he was just being a jerk. So then, I don't know. I don't even know if I wash my hands or not, to be honest with you. Most of the time I do, so I don't know. But anyways, he started being a jerk. So I was like, all right, I'll be a jerk back. So I pulled the emergency thing twice, and he got mad. And I don't care. So then I opened the door, and he's super like angry. And I said, I'm in a wheelchair. And he's like, we got lots of people here. And I don't know. So then I went to go tell the supervisor what he did. And then I said, do you tolerate this? And she was just like being like, I don't know, maybe a little bit too lax, and the guy's yelling in the background. So I pulled out my camera, and I scrolled it, and I went over to him, and I said, I didn't go like directly approach him. I think I was like halfway. So I said, "Excuse me, sir," and he stops, kind of like yelling. He was yelling the whole time, saying, just talking crap about me. So I said, "Excuse me, sir," and then he said, he like turned over. He's like, "Yes," and I took a picture of him. And he got super mad. And he's like, "Call security on him." He's like, "You're not allowed to take pictures in here. It's good, whatever." I'm like, F off. First of all, I've emailed VAOIG, I've emailed OSC, everybody. I've told everybody what's been going on in that place, and nobody gives a crap. So at this point, I don't care. So then I went over to the supervisor. She said, just come in here. I went in there, I talked to her, and she said she can't do anything unless there's a report. I just told her what happened. And then she's like, so I told her, I was like, hey, this is not the first time I say anything about this guy. He was being a jerk to me last time. And to be honest, I really don't care. Like, to some extent, I have to be real with my damn self. And like, I understand that there are things when it comes to my mental health that are like, or especially like an intervention or whatever. Like, I have understanding that some things are needed to be done to find things out or to learn things about me, which is understandable. But at some point, I like I draw the line where like it's like I have to understand like some of this crap is not in my treatment plan. People just intentionally are jerks. So I was just like, no, like I mean, I don't know. I mean, when I had like my screenings and my tests, you know, I really just kind of spoke truth. Like, at what point is a veteran encouraged to stand up for themselves in this process? In a hospital visit, at what point? When they're waiting in the emergency room and ultimately they end up dying. I think that last whistleblower for the VA, I think it was like 42. I could be wrong, but I read something on the web that said like I think 42 veterans or something. There's a certain amount of veterans that die because of waiting times, and not even that, but I think something I read about the last whistleblower for the VA, I think what he said was super like important. He said, you know, every day I show up to work and every day I open my emails and there's all these emails like, "Hey guys, great job. Everything's going good." And he's like, "I don't understand like by what metric are you thinking that everything is okay? That it's a good day, that things are going great when so many veterans are dying just for waiting to get seen by a provider in emergency rooms." So, I mean, I feel like that's true. Like, and not even that, not even is it like long wait times over the phone or to be seen, but it's also, how do I say this? It's also like, okay, so like, let's, like, even with this loser, Dr. Ali, and which that stuff still hasn't been fixed. But it's even like with that loser. I mean, I reported, I did what I had to do, but I called the cops on him too. It's like with that guy, you know, he's this ER doctor, and yes, I reported him, whatever. And now I have this loser, Dwayne Jones, who he should be fired, and actually he should go to jail. People like that should go to jail because when your designated role is to protect the privacy and security of veterans, and when people go up to the front desk and they're shouting out, the staff members are shouting out all your business, and there is no privacy, you know, yeah, you're like, that guy should be in jail, really. And not only that, but all my records, all the crap that happened with my medical records and whatever. So, but what I'm saying is like, okay, so I reported him. I reported the diags that he put in because he said that I had some type of mental health issue, and that's why he put an X-ray in, which a chest X-ray in, which is the stupidest crap I've ever heard. So then my thing is like, okay, I had a bad experience with him, and it's not the first time I've had a bad experience either with a VA doctor. This one doctor, she pushed my stomach and was being a not so nice of a person to me, and she stuck her freaking finger in my butthole, which is like, I've had people stick their fingers up my butthole at Baylor, and the doctor like talked me through this. It was a male doctor, and he talked me through what he was going to do to me, and he did it. And I think that was super professional. But no, this chick, she decided to just be a not so nice person. She said she's perplexed at why I'm in so much pain. Mind you, I have apparently I have herniated discs. You know, I can't be fact check verified there, but well, I need to be because that was just the tech that told me they see some potential herniated discs. So I haven't discussed that with my provider at all. But I mean, either way, I've known I've blown out like 6 discs in my back. So, and that's just in my back. That's not even including like my neck or like whatever's happening in other parts of my body. And she's telling me she's perplexed. And I'm like, damn, like, so you spent your whole career and your mommy, daddy, grandma, grandpa sacrificed for you to go to doctor school or whatever the crap to college, and you're perplexed? Like, that's pretty shitty. I mean, I don't know. I think that that's just, and that's how some of those people are. So then what does a veteran do when they have these bad experiences? Because all we can do is go to patient advocate, and they really don't do crap. Wendy Garcia's still there. I don't even know what she's still doing there. The robot is more productive than her. So I was just like, you know, when I call the Texas State Board and I report these providers, social workers, whatever, when I report them, most of the time the response is that they can't do anything because that's the VA, and they can only monitor practitioners or providers that are, but this is stupid to me, because I'm like, okay, first of all, most of those providers have Texas State issued providers licenses, whether it's social work or any type of doctor. If they're licensed through the state to work for the VA, then that's dumb. Like, how can you not have some form of reprimand or a way to reprimand these doctors, or when they violate people? And so all I can do is report them through VA. But reporting them through the VA is not going to do anything, because it's not going to hold them accountable in any way with their licenses. And so that's just the stupidest crap ever. So then I go to patient advocate on this last visit Friday. I let them know, which has been a lot better. I know mostly everybody in there. And Miss Tanya, like, she walked in on Thursday morning, I think it was. Was it Friday? I don't know. She walked in like Thursday. I didn't even know it was Thursday. I got my days mixed up, but I blame Michael DeBakey because they're working on me. So whatever. I'm in their care. So if I forget crap, I mean, yes, obviously it's me. I'm just being a jerk. But so then, day was it? So on Thursday, after the whole visit, well, Friday was pretty crunk. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't want it to be. I'm not like that, and I hate to be that way. I really do. That's not me. So then I went to patient advocate office. I talked to Mr. Washington. He said he's gonna take care of it, and I said, listen, like last time, and I even told everybody, like I told the Nakia and I told Mr. Washington the truth. Like, I had an issue with him last time, and Miss Cat said I'm emailing the supervisor and I'm safe, and that I'm okay, and I'm whatever, so I can go back there and get my labs done. And then I had the same issue with the same guy, and I said, listen, like I had an issue with him before, and Miss Cat said like I'm safe, I'm okay, and nothing's gonna happen to me or whatever. So I was like, I just don't want any problems. He's gonna deal with it anyway. So then I leave. I saw Wendy Garcia on the way there. I don't know. So, anyways, then I leave, and then it's me and the robot in the hallway, and then I say you again. I always say you again, but I'm like, we gotta stop meeting this way. And I said, I come in peace, and then me and the robot just walked beside each other, or rode beside each other. And I said, peace out, and I left. So then, well, I did tell Mr. Washington, I said, hey, I'm just going to have lunch. I said, I don't have to peruse around the PX because I've already gone. I went there yesterday, which was Thursday. And then, so then I said, I'm going to call my transportation. I'm going to leave, which is exactly what I did. I had the firecracker shrimp, which was really good. It was on top of rice. It was really good. I ate the whole thing. So I was able to have breakfast and lunch at VA on Friday. So then on Thursday I went to OT thinking it was Friday. And then I also went to iClinic to use the restroom thinking it was open. Then I was like, today's not Thursday. And I was like, it is Thursday because iClinic's not open on Thursday. So I went to the gym and I tinkled. But anyways, I don't know. Some, I don't know how to explain my emotions. I think it's by choice. I don't like to explain what I feel. But I felt it in my heart that someone was. I have like, I don't want to use the word inkling, but like I have this these emotions or sensations when somebody that I really care about is around me. And it's not even that. Like sometimes I just have dreams of them or whatever. And it's weird because when I have dreams of them, it's only like usually when they're around or something. And so then I was like, man, I don't know. I think it's just that energy between me and, well, the energy I have towards that person. So then I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna pick a safe space in the lobby so my transportation can pick me up. So I lock my brakes. I sit down. I'm looking, watching, waiting for my driver to come, and then, you know, I see somebody that I care about walk by me, but I'm not stupid. Like I know that the hospital is not the time and the place for like any form of intimate interactions or anything like that. Not that the relationship's intimate, it really isn't. That relationship's gone to shit. I'm sorry, it's gone to. That's not a good word. It's shattered into pieces. Shattered. That's the word I said. Shattered into pieces. And I'm doing everything to just be better with myself, and hopefully that relationship in some way can be placed pieced together and just have peace, like peace of mind that I'm okay, that everything's okay. But when I got home, or when I mean, I just let it be. Like I really think about when things that make me calm down are probably Reiner poems, or believe it or not, if I watch Creep Show, or like if I watch any Stephen King movie, it calms me down, or if I think about cars. And so I've never, ever, ever felt disappointed. And maybe I have, I just don't know because everything's new to me. But like, I mean, I've been through crap. Like, I've been through the worst situation anybody could go through. And I mean, I asked an emergency room trauma staff if I was going to live or die. And I didn't even feel disappointment then when they didn't answer. And I was dying. So I've just never felt like real disappointment with anyone. And I just, like, I let them walk by and leave, and I just watched them leave. It's not like I wasn't watching anybody else. I was waiting for my driver, so I was watching everybody, seeing who's gonna come in. And so I watched them walk by me and leave. And as I like sat there, I mean, I was like, obviously that's not the time or place. I'm not gonna approach them. I'm not an idiot. I pray to God that I could be dumb, and it just doesn't happen. Do I do dumb crap sometimes? Yes. But like, I mean, am I a human that, like, after this I'm gonna do a little video about this, about my Shakalicious gummies. So after they walk away, I don't know, it's just like my heart, and like I just get this huge rush of like remembering, like, not to, well, I don't want to say to do something because that sounds weird to me. I don't know. But like, I guess it was motivation in some way. Like, I just, not that that person hasn't walked away from me before. I'm used to that. But I guess like maybe that's what I needed. And honestly, I don't know because I was talking to myself today, and I think late earlier, I don't know. I also talked to myself about like I don't know if that made things worse or better for me. I really don't know. But I guess I'm gonna find out because, how do I put this? Like, right, I remember the first feeling was like just my heart. Like, I really, I don't fucking know. Like, I really do love this person. Like, I wish I didn't, but I really do have just this connection with this person that I wish I didn't have. So that was like the first thing that surfaced. My heart just, I feel like my heart just got pounded, like just reminded me when I saw them, like, bro, your heart can pound this hard. You're more powerful than you give yourself credit for. And also, I had that intellectual understanding that, this is not the time or place in this setting. And I think it does make me stronger, and it makes that relationship stronger that I respect those boundaries in place. But I don't know why I just felt like this level of disappointment. Like I just feel like what was that what was the goal in that? Or like what was the intention in that? And like can I really just sit here and say that it was just a coincidence? Sure. Because to be honest with you, I guess I don't want to. You say like coincidentally, I suppose, or whatever. However you want to phrase it. My life has crossed paths with this person when I didn't even know this person, or this person didn't even know me. So I would say early 2020, 21, something like that. My world in some way crossed paths with this person's boss, and I didn't know like that my life had crossed paths with them. And then later down the road, when I did go to this place, that's where I met this person. And then later down the road, after that, I met this person again outside in a different setting. And so it's like, how am I to know that our timelines cross or pass? Like, I don't know. And on one occasion, yes, I did go looking for this person because I finally came to the understanding when I started healing and looking at what's left of my life. I think that was the real healing for me. Like the moment that I knew for sure, like I am healing. And that took a long time. Like I was told the spinal fusion would be one day and I'd be up and walking like nothing. And it's been since 2025. We're almost in 2027. So that's almost 2 years when I was told this is a 1 day recovery time. That's one heck of a day. So I sat there on the edge of the bed, and I was just like, I had this thought, like, Evan, what is left of your life? Because you're sitting here, and it's like I just feel like, am I grateful, thankful, blessed to have a place to sit, shower, eat, and I'm surrounded by an amazing family that prays with me and tells me everything's going to be okay. Yes, but also it made me being in that type of setting, it made me think about my own family. And it was, people's family, like there is dysfunction and fights and arguments and disagreements and responsibilities, activities, things. And so it made me think like, it made me really think about, you know, I suppose myself and like my support system. So this person, I wish, I mean, my life would be so much easier, I think. But my life, I wouldn't be living my truth. So I was like, okay, well, thinking about my family, my support system, and where those relationships lie, and they've all been like reduced to nothing. I was reduced to nothing, and I pushed people away. I've suffered and dealt with the consequences of that. So have they. I'm not saying they haven't, and I feel for them because I feel like I don't know how I would feel if I had to love somebody that every day is like a brand new day for them, and love someone who like I don't know, like I don't know how I would feel really. I know that it would be uh, maybe I don't know. I can't speak to that because I don't know it. And maybe I just keep like I at first I was like, well, who's gonna love me now? You know, I would lay there in bed and like I couldn't open my eyes. Like I just had blood all over, stitches all over. I was oozing, and I like reeked of hospital and the shelter. And I just remember my eyes being so like I don't even know like how to describe the feeling. It's like my face had like this film of just like oil and scab, and it was like my skin just trying to heal. My right knee was gashed. I had gashes all over my body, scabs. I couldn't hardly open my eyes, breathe, open my jaw, talk. My lip up here was stitched. I had stitches on my nose. It was bad. So I just felt like, who is ever going to love me this way? One, I was like, who's it's dangerous to love me anyway, going through the stuff I was going through. Now I was like, who's gonna love me now? I can't walk, I wear diapers, I can't do anything anymore. I remember when I was able bodied, I would like wake up every morning at 4 o'clock and go for a run or play basketball, and I would just think of this person. Like, this is somebody that truly believes in me to get out of this situation. And I saw them in that way. Like, this is a human being. And I felt like in those days, I felt like there is going to be a way out for me. And even though there are people that outnumber the one person that really sees me recovering from homelessness and getting out of this, that that those communications in some way would like I felt like there was a way out back then. And I don't know why. I just when I think about when I first started having feelings for this person, when I first started waking up every morning at 4 o'clock. Don't get me wrong, there were days I'd wake up at 4 and I would just do chores or whatever I had to do. But waking up at 4 was the best time because, you know, I didn't want to interact with this person. So I would wake up from 4 when they came in, like around 9, I would just go to bed, shower, go to bed. But waking up at 4 was also good because all the junkies at the shelter, the drug addicts, the smokers, and stuff like that, they wouldn't be out. I used to call them swamp monsters or like creatures of the night because that's what they were. Like at night when the staff members left, they would all just, I don't know, they were like gremlins. They would take over the whole place, and I was like Gizmo. So, but there's one memory that I think about. I think for me to describe it, that was the one moment that I felt powerful. So I was just, I would always think about this person when I put my shoes on and went for a run. That was my motivation. Like, somebody sees me and I see them, and I'm gonna get out of this. I'm gonna, find a way out of this. So I remember putting on my Yeezys probably and going out for a run. And usually I would go run like at the plaza. I called it the plaza. Usually I would go run over by the shops, the stores, or I'd go around the shelter behind it on a trail and back. But this time I went across the street and over to the left by some apartments and the fire station. And I remember I went down the street to the left, stop sign, to the right, then I left down to there's these apartments and a fire station. And then I was running, and it wasn't like pitch black dark. It was like bright blue in the sky, like the sun was maybe gonna come out soon, but not really. So there wasn't any pink in the sky, it was more like blue purple. So I'm running down and I'm at a good pace and I'm breathing pretty good. And in the middle of the road, I see a dog. I'm like, oh crap, there's a dog. And I keep running, I'm just thinking it's a dog. And all of a sudden, all of these, I think, well, they were coyotes or wolves. They all came out, and it was like six of them. And I was like, oh crap, like there's like six coyotes right here. And I'm over here like, oh, it's a dog. And I just saw one because all I saw was one, like from the right into the road. And it's funny. I always think about that moment because I feel like that was nature trying to tell me something. Like I was running on the left side of the road, and the wolf, it just came out in the middle of the street, and it just stopped there. Like it was just one. It was like one coyote or one wolf. I feel like coyotes are different, are thinner, and this one looked like a dog and thicker. So I don't know. It was a wolf or coyote, whatever. But it came into the middle of the road and it just stopped. And I thought it's a dog. It's one dog by itself. And I just kept jogging because I thought it's one dog. What is it gonna do to me? So I just kept running, and then as I kept running, I don't know if the coyote expected me to like. I have no idea. Like I don't know if it was what was going on. Like I don't know if it thought it was gonna come out into the middle road and come at me, and maybe I'd scurry off away. I have no idea. So like I was running, it stopped in the middle of the road, and I still kept going because I didn't think anything of it. And then when it after it stopped in the middle of the road and I kept going, five more came out from the ditch, like the grass. They came out and came up to it. And that's when I was like, oh crap, like this is some wolves and stuff, coyotes. And so yes, I wasn't stupid. I turned around and I went back. I either went back to the shelter or I walked, jogged a different way. And I think that was one of the last times I ever ran. But I always think to myself that that was nature giving me a sign that something was going to happen to me. My aunt always says that when when something bad happens to nature, or when something bad happens to nature or animals in nature, that means that something is going to happen to the person, to an individual. Like when something happens to the pet, that means something's going to happen to the person. And so I really do feel like that was nature giving me a sign in some way, because I ended up having one of the most traumatic moments of my life in the middle of a road. And and mind you, it's just weird how like I was running down by the fire station that showed up the day of my accident, and I was running down, and the wolf just came out. And so I always think about that day, like that that nature was really trying to either protect me or show me something. I always think about that coyote or whatever it was. I always think about it probably was a coyote. I always think about it in the middle of the road because I think about me, like when I was in the middle of the road, and then the rest of them came out from the grass. So I really just feel like I don't know what the meaning is behind that, but I can't help but to think about that moment. Like nobody put those coyotes up to, they were doing their thing. And for some reason that wolf or that coyote felt like it needed to show itself to me and be in the middle of the road. And I had ran that road before. And that had never happened to me. I mean, I would run that road all the way down. I would run both trails. The one to the left led to the plantation, and I would come all the way back down. And then the other side, like it just kept leading down, 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 down. You end up going behind the houses or whatever. So I don't know. I just really always think about that moment. But anyways, that was when I was able-bodied. So I don't know what the purpose of this, you know, interaction on Thursday was about. I don't know if it made me better or worse. But then I was thinking, that's what relationships are. Like any from the most minimal relationship to the most to the highest degree of a relationship, in a marriage, it is for better or for worse. When things are crappy or good in any situation, in any relationship. But I don't know why, I just felt some form of disappointment, and I've never felt that before. Like I said, maybe I have. I don't know, but I have. From for me now, I haven't had that feeling of like I'm disappointed. But I did because I was like, I feel disappointed in the fact that I I really do love fashion, and I think like when I think of certain brands, like I don't know how to explain. Like when I for me, there are certain things that I know like brands are good at. Like Guess denim, Kenneth Cole, maybe blazers, jackets, watches, cufflinks, Nautica, maybe polos, banana cardigans, you know, polo. Maybe yes the polos, but I don't know belts, and so I have always felt like, mind you, all of those are garbage compared to Versace, but I have always felt like when I watch the runways from the early days of Versace, I feel like that for me in the designs, I learned that privacy is an intimate thing. And I think with each stretch of what was being done on each particular model and parts of their bodies, those are very intimate parts, but they were covered in such a way. And privacy is intimate. It's not just you know HIPAA or you know covering your phone number or redacting things. Privacy isn't just hiding things. Privacy is an intimate thing. And for me, I felt like maybe a form of disappointment because, like, I, for me, like, on an intimate level, that's probably one of the most private things I've ever held. And I just feel like a form of disappointment because like I feel like I don't know what was trying to be established there because dynamics and roles couldn't be a thing. I just feel like I thought that this person of all people would know that like I would never cross that boundary, and I feel like I guess I was wrong. So I don't know if this person needed what's the word needed like certainty or to know for a fact, but I just feel like it's just not cool. I mean, I've known this person for quite a while. Not like know this person at all, but I from my initial interaction with them in 2023, now we're almost in 2027. I've never seen this person at the VA hospital. So that's quite a long time to like never cross paths with this person at the hospital. So I'm kind of thinking to myself, well, why now? You know, and I've been on this inner world platform, and I'm kind of like pissed off at it really because I feel like this is why I don't socialize in any way. This is why I don't interact on social media. This is why I never have socialized or interacted on social media or apps. You know, mental health care providers or people have told me, well, why don't you get online and meet somebody? I've been through some type of trauma that people will never understand. When if you were me and if you uncovered a data breach larger than life, how would you feel? You wouldn't feel safe ever again. And when people don't even believe you that just that's why, like, when I was at the shelter, I just never got on any of that crap. I had roommates and, what do you call, like, guys at the shelter that got scammed constantly by cyber girls and all kinds of crap. And they would spend their money. Like, my own roommate gave his niece, quote unquote niece, 5,000 grand, and he was living in the homeless shelter for free. So, five grand, I should say, 5 grand. And he wouldn't even like here and there he was tight for us to get snacks and stuff, but he gave her $5,000, and there we are suffering. Shoot, with $5,000 we could have got ourselves a car for less and got ourselves out the shelter, but he just handed her over $5,000 like that. And I don't know. When I was at the shelter, I wasn't on any type. That was a super traumatic time for me. I wasn't on my focus the entire time from leaving my accident and going back to Austin was the dumbest thing I could have ever done. I look back on it and I think that was really stupid of me to go back because it made crap worse. But also I have peace of mind and like knowing that I can live with myself, knowing that I did everything in my power. And I think that I can't think of my life being any other way because I feel like if I hadn't gone back, I would probably be those people that are like, I coulda, woulda, shoulda. But I'm not that person today because I did show up, I did go back, I did face those people that did what they did to me. And even then, I went back to work and I have Kenny like, hey, Evan, this guy that set me up and put me in the freaking car that I knew was not safe, he, I like the word goal, he had the goal to come up to me and say, hey, Evan, how are you? I heard you got into an accident. The guy that put me in a car that he knew and that I knew was unsafe, that made me get into that car, and that took pictures after the accident. Didn't help me get out the car, but sure enough took pictures of it. That same guy, when I went back to work, was like, "Hey Evan, I heard you got into an accident." I think I handled it pretty well. So when I was at the shelter, that's the same guy that would cyber stalk me on Instagram. They all cyber stalked me. They were all weirdos. And so I just had just such a technological trauma. Like, I observed things that most people don't ever observe. And because of that, like, and then I found a connection with somebody that actually treated me like a human being. I ran that down to the trash for sure. And that was also like technological trauma for me because I feel like, when I find a mental health care provider in that time, that probably wasn't the greatest way. But I just feel like, when you find a mental health care provider, it shouldn't feel like you're on christianmingles.com and or on a dating app. But anyways, that was a different time. And so now I feel like how I guess what I'm saying so many words is like I had so many opportunities to expose certain aspects of this circumstance of my life, and I never did. Not because of my privacy, but because I just I know how do I say this? Well, because yeah, because I know that there's vulnerabilities in the softwares, and when you get into a Tesla, I don't know about nowadays, but when you would get into a Tesla, for instance, all of your apps and all of your information, TikTok, everything is on the screen. Like everything's already, you're downloading these apps. You have all of your privacy, all your sensitive information it's in the Tesla software system. All your social medias, everything, you know. So I just had an a factual insight and experience of knowing the reality of what is really going on in my life and what I'm tackling. So that's why when I was there the whole time, you know, I just I didn't really engage in like those types of things like social media. I've had this laptop the entire time I was at the shelter. I could have gone live a long time ago. I could have taken pictures of every single thing and put it on the internet, and I never did. And I don't know, I just feel like this level of disappointment with this person because I thought that they would really, of all people, I thought that they would be the person that would know that I would never be capable of doing this, of violating them. But I guess not. But I'm man enough to deal with it. Like, I'm man enough to be like, okay, if she had to know for certainty, and I have to trust in that connection, I have to trust that this person was doing what was best. And I have to trust this person. If there's no trust, there's no relationship. So, but I also feel like I can't and I don't have any form of like animosity at all towards this person, but I've been doing this exercise of like putting myself in their shoes, and I'm making progress in that way. But I don't know. I don't know if this person has ever put themselves in my shoes. Maybe when it comes to my trauma, and I don't think this person has maybe even had a chance to put themselves in my shoes because they had to deal with. I got ran over. I mean, I shouldn't even probably be saying this on live, but I mean, I almost died. Let's leave it at that. So I almost died, and my support system had to grieve and learn. Like there's this poem at the VA that says my loved ones have to watch me go through these things. Like these people had to watch me survive that, and these people didn't even know if I was going to live or die. I didn't know if I was going to live or die. So I just, I'm being, what's the word? Mm, I don't have the word right now. I'm being more than something. I don't, my mind's drawing a blank when it comes to that situation, because I'm like, maybe they haven't even had a chance to put themselves in my shoes, because they had to grieve and heal from losing somebody that's no longer here anymore. I'm a new Evan. I coming back from that, I would never be the same. Coming back from that, there was no certainty that I would ever be okay ever again. There was no certainty that my mind, my brain would ever be okay again. My life, my arm, my legs, my anything. There was no certainty of anything, and I thank God that one, I'm a type of man that I don't give up, and I thank God as much as I pray to God that I was dumb. I thank Him for screwing my head on tight, and I thank God for placing like as wonky and you know that some of the people in the community and churches may be, they really helped me, like the Christian Center, and my friends Stephen and Jen. Like, what's the odds of them watching this? But and Pastor Robinson at the Pentecostal Church in Richwood, and you know the church, the LDS Church that I'm now a member of, and Powerhouse, and now Venture Church. Like all of these churches have helped me and accepted me, and prayed, and I have, and I think I continue to do amazing things. Like I am having probably the most amazing recovery in a physical sense. But then I think what I have said in almost an hour is that I've made an amazing recovery physically, a recovery that most people weren't guaranteed would happen in my case. That I wasn't even for sure I wasn't promised that I would ever walk again. As a matter of fact, I started losing my capacity to walk in my nervous system, and I think that's when I buckled down and I said, "Nope, Evan, you gotta do this and that." I was, toughing it out, toughing it out, toughing it out. Even to the point where I thought I could work again, and I wasn't accepting the reality of my life that I would never be the same again. And to be honest, tomorrow I'll wake up and I'll feel the same way. But I'm working on it. Tomorrow I'll probably wake up getting out of my bed like I usually do, like I can take on the world, and then I'll take 5, 10 steps realizing I can't. And then I'll beat myself up over it, and I'll probably fall asleep and then just brought away into this realm of what's the point? But I'm doing better. So I'm I don't know if this person has ever even had the opportunity to really put themselves in my shoes as far as, or in my shoes as far as like what I feel towards them. And I think that they don't want to, you know, telling me I can't love them if I really knew them, that's them not wanting to put themselves in my shoes. And I have prayed and prayed and prayed for this person, for their heart, that it is healed. There's this song by Tank, I can't make you love me. And he says, I can't make you love me if you don't. I can't make your heart feel something it won't. But in the song, he says, no matter what, he's gonna like lay out his heart, like he's gonna pour out his heart. And I think that's kind of like how I feel. Like this person doesn't want to be loved. That's fine, but that doesn't mean because they don't want to be loved that I'm not going to love them. Like I will pray for them and pray that, because that's not the God that I know. The God that I know loves us all. And I just don't think that like I've recently really been putting myself in this person's shoes. So I can't say. But I just feel like, you know, I can only describe what I've been feeling. Like, has this person really put themselves in my shoes? Like, and not so much about like my circumstances and what led myself to homelessness, but do they see what I see in them? That they are human, and the parts of them that I connected with, or that I had, I don't want to use the word attraction because that sounds awful, but do they really see what a man like me sees in them? Or are they choosing not to see it? Like, are they intentionally choosing not to see it? I don't know. But I wish this person would know and see what I see in them, regardless of whatever it is going on in their lives, regardless of anything. And I think seeing them walk away from me, which isn't, I mean, is normal. Like, I've seen this person walk away from me plenty of times. So I'm used to that. But I think I just felt some form of disappointment in the sense that, like, one, I feel like in some way, I feel like in some way the intimate parts of me have been exposed. And then in another way, I feel like I thought that this person, like, without a doubt, would know that I would never cross that line. And I don't know what the fuck I've done to make this person think otherwise, but whatever. If this person thinks that they had to do that, then I'll leave it alone. I just pray. I did what I had to do in that shelter to survive. And I've always been honest about, like, I've even been honest with this person that, I'll leave. I'll go away. I'll go to a hotel, if me being around them makes them uncomfortable, I mean, I've done it all. But sometimes that's all you can do. My situation is not an easy one at all. Like, even now, like, I feel I'm healing through just talking it out. And I have nobody to talk to. I've been on here for an hour. My phone hasn't rang. As much as my church friends say they hear from me, I mean, the elders checked in on me. I don't know how to explain this. That just, and I was thinking to myself, like, damn, like I've never felt disappointment, not even with my damn self. Like I haven't even disappointed myself. Like I don't sit here and like, man, I'm such a disappointment. You know, I don't even think I. And sometimes I get that survey where like, do you feel like you're a disappointment to people around you? And maybe there have been times here and there, like very, but it's not like out of 10. You know, I'm sure here and there, but more like in a physical sense. Like I can't get up, I can't move. You know, I can't maybe be up and running like I used to. I don't know, but you know, they're like at the VA. They had this big old banners like do inner world beyond inner world. You know, and I just feel like I don't know what changed. I don't know what the hell happened. That's the only thing I can think of that happened was I was on inner world, and then all this crap was happening. So then on Friday, so Thursday, that person walked away from me. I felt what I felt. I vented it all out. I talked it out with my damn self in a book, And then one time, I was in LJ in a different part of town, and that was the day I went to go file my business license. And the house, I don't even know. I think like I don't even remember how, but I think when I was googling the courthouse, I think it's like a historical landmark or a landmark that Selena's house is nearby. So I was like, well, that's interesting, and I've never really explored LJ like that. I mean, I was in Richwood, but that's different. I mean, I didn't really go there. So, anyways, I was walking, had my Lamborghinis before my surgery when I could walk, whatever. So, I mean, I could walk, but I was in a lot of pain. I'm not gonna lie. I could walk, but also I couldn't really feel my legs, so not that there's any difference. Anyways, so then I walk, and right across the street, like I get closer to Selena's house. I don't go up to it or anything, because I saw like it looked like people occupied it. I mean, I don't want to be all up in their business. So, but I saw, I found some stuff. It was trash day, I guess, and I found some pretty good stuff. And in the chart in the yard that somebody threw out, and one of those items was a journal, a camouflage journal, and it so happened to have the last name of this person I had feelings for. And I was like, what are the odds? I don't know. Universe showing me a sign again. So I grabbed it and I pick it up and I write in that book or I keep things in that journal. So it's like, what are the odds of that? You know, what are the odds that my timeline keeps crossing with this person? I found that book. I couldn't know these things. There's no way I can know these things. And I just honestly I felt like this level of disappointment with that, and I don't know what I've done other than get on Innerworld. It's like after that interaction, I think it was Wednesday night on Innerworld. That's the only thing, and I'm like, hey, I'm speaking my truth. Like there was one response, and the man, I don't even care. Innerworld's not gonna silence me either. There was one response where like someone was like, I don't want this to sound in a bad way. And that was so strange to me. Like, I don't care. Like, I've been on Interworld for a while and nobody's ever talked like that. I mean, I've seen people say worse. And So that was kind of weird, but it's like I don't know, like that there was something not right about that conversation. Sometimes there's weird conversations. Like somebody brought up polygraph, and I thought that's weird. Like why are we even talking about that? And I don't know. Sometimes things go awry, if that's the word. And I'm not talking about bread. It just sometimes things are really strange on that thing, and it has helped me. Like it's helped me talk. I'm talking now. I just that's the only thing I can think of that has happened that I've done, and I should have already known something. But like even me, I'm like overthinking it. Like first of all, I I had the app open, and I really wasn't even like I had it open, but I was like doing things like I was feeding the birds, or I don't know, I was doing stuff in the living room, and I was just doing things like, did I have it open? Did I have my headphones on and was I listening? Yes, but I wasn't really interacting with anyone. The only time I interacted was towards the end when they're like, does anybody have any questions, or something like that. And so I decided to share my part. And even earlier, somebody was sharing, and like the audio cut out, and I was cutting the grass. So I really wasn't even moving around or interacting, or I don't think I violated anybody. I don't think I was in anybody's bubble. I'm usually the first one to back up and not be all up in anybody's space. I don't know what the F I said, what I did. I was just being truthful, you know? And sometimes the reality is people can't handle the truth. And that's the thing. I think that's what I'm trying to say in so many words is I don't think this person can accept the truth of me. I don't think they can accept the truth of how do I say this? I don't think they can accept the truth of what I see in them, about what I love about them, about what I feel for them. I think that because like okay, fuck it. Like think about it. Like if you were a man and you fell in love with this woman regardless of whatever's going on in her life, and you have to constantly what's the word? Suppress. Like I have to constantly push down. I don't even know why I'm thinking like this because it's too late at night to be thinking about talking, saying more than 10 letter words. So if I had to like push down all my emotions because of where I live, because of the dynamics, if I had to constantly every minute of the day force and push down my emotions every day and be in freaking classes that tell me to pull them out, I'm like back at basic training basically. You know, like in basic training, well, my basic training, I mean, we had to be like uniform, cookie cutter, stern, we didn't have feelings. We were like, platoon and organized, and, there was no emotion. But at the same time, you got to give it all you got and run. So basically, I'm sitting there every day like I'm in combat because, I mean, I, I have these feelings. I can't feel them because of, I suppose, if you want to say the dynamics, I can't feel them because I'm the homeless guy and they're the whatever, they're whomever, and I'm the homeless guy. The homeless guy is not allowed to, one, love a white woman, two, you know, I'm just homeless and stupid and crazy. The reality is that I have had a career that they can't even dream of. They're phony. They lie about their education, all this crap. They say they're so and so. They're such a criminal detective, investigator, policeman. They're fucking Sherlock Holmes. And then the other one is some cyber IT whiz that doesn't even know the freaking caffeine intake of their freaking Dr. Pepper. So I just, what the fuck ever. Like, I know that I was surrounded by phony idiots and that judged me, that were sexist, racist, worse. That's just their minds. And I have to live freaking peacefully, like freaking uh, impresario and indigenous people, and I'm the freaking impresario, and with living amongst indigenous people, trying to make peace and smoke the peace pipe, right? But the Native Americans, they still don't understand organization. They don't understand agreements. All they understand is that savage, natural, wildlife thinking. They don't know structure, organization. And here comes Santa Anna and the impresarios and coming with written documents saying, we want to make peace with you. We want to all live together in peace. But this is how things have to be. And the only way they came to an agreement was by smoking the peace pipe, because that's how the Native Americans saw, any form of making an agreement. And it just wasn't the Spanish way of things. And so that's just how I freaking feel. Like, I was the one who was highly well educated, the real deal, and I was surrounded by a bunch of phony idiots. And then I fell in love with one person amongst them. I don't even know what she was doing there, because she's definitely, people said I don't belong there, you know, and I think that's what was so difficult about that. Like, two people amongst, like, imagine two people in one city in the middle of nowhere, and there are more mosquitoes than there are people. So, two people on one intellectual wavelength, and everybody in that city is not. The mosquitoes have more intellect than them. So, of course, I feel like it's only logical that I had feelings for this person. And I don't think I would have gone through them if somebody else didn't come into my life that really came in. I was able, it took some time for me to say, hey, I can't talk to you. I can't do this. I will talk to this other person. And when I met this other person, I could really see them as, I know that this person prays for me harder than anybody I know. I know that's fact. And that's why I behave myself and I do my best. I just can't. I mean, honestly, I do feel disappointed, because I thought of all people, this person would know for a fact that I would never do anything like that. And I feel like I don't feel hurt. I just feel sad. Like, I feel not depressed, but I feel disappointed in, like, what did I do? I know I'm not perfect. I know I've said crap. I know I've done crap. I know I do crap. But compare, and that's the thing. I'm like, so, like, everybody. So I didn't have any social media. I didn't interact on the internet. The only interaction I ever had digitally was when I was emailing uh, everyone to get myself help out of my situation. When I was emailing Tesla, when I was emailing HR, when I was emailing NHTSA, DOL, NLRB, HHS, DOJ. That's like the only level of, like, cyber communication that I had. And it's an awful truth, but nobody in my immediate family called me. Nobody checked in with me in 11 months. In 11 months, nobody. It's the reality of my life. Nobody checked in on me. Nobody came through with not even like a freaking Happy Meal. Nobody came in. Now I'm recovering with my body, and I have an immediate family member that loves me and cares about me. Yes, but that wasn't always the case. And to be honest with you, it shouldn't be this person's responsibility to step into my life and take care of me. But this is somebody that, you know, so that's a whole other conversation. I'll leave it alone. But I don't know. I'm trying right now to like really deal with like I'm not gonna figure them out. The person that I love, there's no way, and I don't want to. I don't care to. Because I don't. I'm not the type of man that I will approach a relationship wanting to change someone. I'm not that type of person. Like I'm the type of man that I love you as you are, how you are. I accept you. You know, I feel like I trust in my own judgment and discernment, and you know, I can't speak to like my past, but I have been hurt. I was hurt in the workplace, and my spouse left me and left me for all the wrong reasons, and I prayed for her. If the shoe was on the other foot, like I made sacrifices when they went to flight attendant school. I held down the fort, but when I get hurt on the job, she just said peace out. So maybe I didn't have the best judgment in the past, and maybe I don't now, but I just that's just how I feel. And I'm just thinking like what happened between now and then. That's the only thing I interacted on Interworld. But see, that's why I don't socialize. That's why I don't interact. That's why I've never made social media. That's why I've never made Facebook, because of what exactly just transpired. Because of this reason. And my phone's been dry. I mean, it's been better now with VA. Like people are doing their job and calling me and scheduling. Yes, my care is getting more organized, so my phone's been dry. Hmm. I mean, I have no social life at all whatsoever. My social life was an 80-year-old man, my roommate, and even he is a sellout. He's a sellout because towards the end, things were coming down on him, and I don't know because he was very flaky. He didn't want to tell me everything, but he told me that he got violent with his wife or whoever she was to him, and he committed a crime. He beat her. He went to jail, and I guess he was trying to play dumb and stupid away from that. And one day he told me, he said, what they say I did, what I said I did. He said I did it, and I just, what can I do? What can he do? He's an 80-year-old man. He has to live with what he did. And so I think that he just turned on me, like he sold out on me. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like I have made peace with him a long time ago. I made peace for myself because one, I know that he's old, but I think I made peace with that a while ago. And I think I made my peace with him, but also like the reality of his world is like when people commit crimes like that, they have to be held accountable. And he's in his living situation because he's dealing with the consequences of his actions. And I can't control that. Could I have some say in it when we were roommates? Sure, but not anymore. Especially when he sold out on me. So I never sold out on him. Like nobody ever asked me, nobody ever told me, what has he told you, what has he said? But at this point, like, with how things are, I'm doing what I have to do for myself. I guess maybe I'm disappointed because, like, I could understand this transpiring or this level of, like, whatever. I don't know. I could understand that when I was at the shelter, but it's been so long, and at this point, I've been out of the shelter longer than I was in it, I believe. I left in August of 24. We're already in 26. So if she feels whatever, I feel worse. You know, this lady, she was so beautiful to me. She made me bless this lady's heart. I'll pray for her, Miss Doris. I helped her with a whatever you call it, GED test, and she made me the most amazing cake. A pineapple upside down cake tastes so good with coconut. Man, it was just the best cake. I went in on that cake, but when I told her about this woman, she said, "Dang, Evan, what'd you do to her? What'd you do?" I was like, "Almost died. Almost died again. Almost died again." You know, but I could understand when I was there, like, but I don't understand it now. And the fact that, like, yes, maybe I was wrong for showing up, popping up on them out the blue, but fuck it. Like, I would rather show up and be man enough to show up and say, hey, maybe I shouldn't have been out of my wheelchair. And okay, I shouldn't have been out of my wheelchair, my walker, my cane. I know better than that. But that was a part of me still, I'll admit that still wasn't accepting me the way that I am physically. I want to be that man that I was before, the man that could stand up in front of her, that was strong and was like, I don't know, but I'm just not anymore. Now I'm so sensitive. I'm talking for an hour about my emotions. I'm super sensitive. I'm super fragile now. Do I like it? It's the worst feeling in the world. How about that for expressing my feelings? It's crappy. I don't like it. I don't like being this sensitive. I don't like being this fragile. I've never been this fragile or sensitive. You know, I just don't understand this crap. I'd rather be on my knees, with torque patterns and, you know, I'd rather be at a junkyard pulling parts, finding things in cars. I'd rather be doing that than laying here in bed talking about my emotions. But this is my new life. Like, I can't do those things anymore. I mean, I'm sure I can get creative and I can, but I mean, I just have to adjust my life. I think it's one thing, like, if a person adjusts their life willingly, but it's another thing to, like, force that change on somebody. And I think that's kind of what I felt when they walked away this time. I felt like I'm being forced in some way to stop caring. And that doesn't sit well with me because I feel like I could understand this when I was at the shelter, but I'm no longer there. And I've never done anything to cross that boundary. I don't feel. And I've been out the shelter since then. So it's almost been 5, it's almost been 2 years. So I've been out of the shelter longer than I was in it. And that's what I'm saying. So, like, what has happened now? What is so different now? Like, whatever. She did what she had to do for for herself, or, Tupac said, I ain't mad at you, you know? I'm not mad. It's just how I feel. I feel like I'm disappointed in her because I feel like out of everybody in my life, I really thought that would be one person that would know that I would never, ever cross that boundary. But I guess not. I don't know if like what people see of me. I know that the most honest, truthful person, they're not in my life either. Like the one person I could see as a friend, but at least she had the at least she had the strength to tell me straight up like it was. She's like, Evan, aren't you tired of like going to all this legal stuff, going to court, 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 and if you go down this path, you this is yes, I know that, you know, and I believe that maybe that's a part of why this happened to me, because I know my identity and I know that I'm not a sellout. And I think that's kind of what made me a little bit disappointed because I feel like, damn, you know, everything that I felt, like this is one person that saw me. One, I survived, and I remembered like I thought about this person as I was dying, and I yelled out for this person, and those things were out of my control. And two, I remember my recovery, like I just kept thinking, like she was like the only, you know, before this person that I could see as a friend came in, she was like the only light for me in that place. And even when things were rocky at first, she said, do what you have to do. So what I had to do was I thought of, you know, this is a dark place. You know, you're the only light that I see in this place. And I used that every day to like get myself out of that situation. And for a while, I thought that that would happen, that that could be. But then I was surrounded by a bunch of numbnut idiots. And they were so envious and I had animosity towards me. And now I'm just like, damn, like I am angry, because I'm like, why was so much violence and energy placed upon me instead of such having a simple, intelligent conversation? Like, Evan, what led to you being here and being homeless? Let's talk it out. Let's figure out a plan instead of all this BS sideswiping, phony ass intervention, like that led to me nearly losing my life. And at the end of the day, whoever did what they did to me, I really will do everything in my life to figure it out and hope that that person spends the rest of their life in jail because I would be dead. And I clearly see that I would be dead and nobody would give a crap. And I'm the only person that gives a crap about that young man that died in that road because I'm not him. I'm not him at all. Do I feel for him? Yes, because I see how much envy he had. So many people were jealous of him, envious of him, to the point where it nearly cost him his life. I've never known a story of people being so jealous and envious of a homeless man. But there's one for you. So it's like, what did I have left to take that wasn't already taken from me? Because I had already lost it all. So I guess they thought my life. Some people are just like that. So whatever. It's not whatever because I do care. Unless I'm just like, why now? And then on Friday, there were these two ladies, like, talk about, what did they say? Being a dumb, out of place, whatever, a sore sight, whatever. You know, there were two women that went up to the front by the valet and just stood there on their phones. Man, I've been at Michael DeBakey my whole life, basically. What time is it? It's August 1st, 2026. I've been out since 2025. I mean, since 2015. Come on. I've been at Michael DeBakey long enough to know who's been around that place. I know the two Dr. Villarreals. I know that whole place. Have I ever been to the sixth floor? Hell no. But I know just about everybody. I know when somebody they come from up there and they come from down here. I already know. I've seen all these people, different people come in, new people come in. I've seen all of it. Talk about being out of place. And I just feel like, man, like, whatever, it is what it is. Safety first, safety starts with me, whatever, but I don't, I don't know. I'm not angry. And I'm not, I mean, I'm just saying that I am disappointed, but I'm not going to stay disappointed at this person. Mm. And maybe it's because I'm going public with my story. They want nothing to do with it. And that's fine. Because I feel like, if you have a problem with me, then you're not for me. Like if you have a problem with me vocalizing my story so that somebody else doesn't have to go through it, then you're not for me. And sadly, you know, I'm speaking up and out and going public about my story, and whether you like it or not, you're part of that story. So if you want to live in a lie, then that's your problem. It's not mine. Someone once told me the real deal, and I said flat out, and I think I probably surprised this person. I said, "That's not my problem. That's yours. That's hers." And I don't regret that at all because it's not my job to fight the person that I love. It's not my job to fight their adversity. You know, I feel like I feel like um, you know I'm just real. Just be real with me. Be real. I'd rather you be real. And I'm like, man, like just as many times as you gave me opportunities, always be there, doors always open, let's talk it out, let's talk. You had plenty of opportunities too. When I was there on bended knee, like in my mind, like boys to men, you could have said something then. When I showed up, to say, hey, I I thought about my relationships in my life, and I'd be lying if I said you were not a relationship. This was not a relationship that I want to fix and work on. That was an opportunity too. So many. Even at one of the events, could have said something to me then. What else? So many times things could have been said to me, but like for this person to do this in front of everybody, like whatever, you know, I feel like I set a boundary too many times in the best way I know how. Was it messed up for me to say that's her problem, that maybe uh, they won't be able to hold back their feelings? Maybe. But I'm not asking for somebody to hold back their feelings. Um, I don't even think I'm asking, but if I want to, but I don't even think I'm asking for this person to really place themselves in my shoes. And I don't want to be like blowing all little, how do you say, in Spanish they say la ropa se lava en casa. So that means your clothes gets washed at the house. So that means you don't air out your dirty laundry, I guess, in English. Like that's like it's kind of more like a saying. Like you don't put all your business out there in the open. You take care of business in the house. And I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, hey, I'm the guy in my life where I'm washing clothes and I'm hanging it outside to dry. You know, I'm not the guy that's always like, hey, we got to fix things behind closed doors. That's not me. I don't believe in that. Because I saw my mom and my stepdad. I saw things behind closed doors all the time. Sometimes I was behind that closed door getting beat. So I'm not never going to be that guy that wants to all the time, be behind closed doors fighting. You know, that's I don't aspire to be that way at all. But I'm the type of person that like, hey, when things happen, we figure it out, we sort it out, and we handle it. Let it dry. Let's not go to sleep angry about it, and we let it cool off, and we pick it up in the morning. So, but at the same time, it's like that's kind of how I feel. Like I feel like I have been coming with that momentum, like in that belief, like la ropa se lava en casa, uh, like we handle business like within us, like we take care of business. But when this person walked away from me, like it's one thing. This person always walked away from me. I'm used to that. Not even, but it's one thing when you walk away from me and you're doing it in front of like the whole hospital. Like for is you're doing it for everybody to what prove a point for what? Because I still love you. So what is different? You know, I guess I'm just like, okay, imagine, if this person says they don't think they can hold back their feelings, that's fair. But imagine me, a man, that I have my feelings out there, regardless of what you do to me or what you're doing in your own life. I keep having my feelings out there. I don't hide them for the most part, to the point where people try to freaking end me. And by God's will, I survived that. I'm not saying she's the reason. There's way more to it. But, there's way more to just that. Like, I watched this movie where there was a brother and sister, and it's I think it's a Michael Conley. Was it Michael? I don't know. And it was a Hallmark original. Can't remember the name of it, but there's a brother and sister, and I'm just gonna lay it out to like it is. They're in the podunk, middle of nowhere, Cottonfield, and they had migrant workers on the field. Well, there's a brother and sister with their mammy and pappy. They live out in a tent on the plantation, and the brother, he's causing problems all over town, fighting people, hurting people, and then the brother finds a sister with one of the migrant workers, and his name is Cowboy. So when he's leaving town, he spots his sister and Cowboy making out. It's not the first time he tried to fight Cowboy. So Cowboy wins at the end of it all. He won the first fight and won the second fight. So in a way, I guess I'm just like Cowboy, like in one aspect, but in the other, it's like, how do I put this one? Well, I think I already pretty much laid it out. Like loving somebody, and or I guess if you love somebody and there was somebody else and you have to live with it, whatever. You know, I have been by myself since February 14th of 2023. We're almost in 2027. Okay. So since February 14th of 2023, I've been by myself. Well, really, longer than that because that was the day legally I was separated. That's not how long I had been alone. I think she left in January, so whatever, close enough. So yes, January would be 4 years out by myself, and I haven't been with anybody at all. I would say, 4 years me working on myself, like I don't know. So there was one side of me that was like, okay, this is how you feel, but find the positive in it, right? So I started looking for what's what is something positive that came out of that. And something positive that came out of that was I got to see this person. And just seeing this person lets me know that they're okay, you know, and also seeing this person reminded me of a lot because I'm not okay as far as my memory goes. She is the only person that I really remember, and trust me, the feeling's mutual. I mean, I could have came back from that and only remembered Mama T. That'd be scary. But just she's the only person that I really remember, and I wish that wasn't the truth, but it's so sad. Like I think the story of Evan is sad, but I'm Evan 2.0, and the story of Evan is sad, 100%. Like I'm probably 110% sad. They were literally probably like maybe only two or three people. My case manager did their best. My therapist went above and beyond, more than above and beyond for me. And I mean, the story is kind of like as I told it. I mean, I didn't say everything. I'm not gonna put everybody's business out there. You know what I'm saying? Close enough. I mean, just because they violate my privacy, I'm not gonna violate theirs. But that's how I feel. Like I feel like why now? Because 4 years I ain't never seen you up in there, so why now? I just don't think it's cool, or whatever. But I'm seeing the light in the situation. So like, what's positive in that situation? And what was positive is that I got to see the one person that matters most to me in this life, whether they like it or not. Trust me, the feeling's mutual. I don't like it either. Sometimes I got to see them. There's this like new whatever in sexual harassment that looking at a woman in some way or some crap like that is considered sexual harassment. I'm not stupid. These people around me, they think I'm dumb. I'm not dumb. Like, that's my adversity. In Spanish, they say, tengo cara de pendejo. Like, that means I must have I may look stupid, but I'm not, you know? And kind of like when they say I must have S written on my forehead. So that's not how I looked at her at all. And I don't think people understand that type of connection. And that type of connection is not meant for people to understand. You know, I think that's like I think that's real communication with somebody. It's not just the trust, but I mean, trust has a lot to do with it, but it, it's like, how do I put this? You know how sometimes, like if you're at Starbucks and everybody's on the internet, or at the library, everybody's on the internet slows down. So it's like everybody's on the internet, everybody's on the Wi-Fi, and the speeds, slow down. But there's two computers on the same network that still stay at the same rate and still upload at the same upload and download speed. That's kind of like how it is. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. Well, basically, in a social setting, or if you want to be social engineering in a social setting, it's like everybody in the whole hospital is a network, and there are 2 points or two people, and everybody in the hospital is watching, but we're doing their thing, and between these two people, everybody in the hospital is operating in one way, and these two people are in that same setting, but these two people have a stronger method or mode of communication and operation than everybody else. Like that communication can't be compromised. And that's kind of how it is. Like, I think when you have a strong communication, regardless of what is happening around you, you have to have that faith and that trust in that person that everything is going to be okay. Because if you don't have that established, then the rest of the relationship is going to falter. It's not going to withstand anything else. Like if you can't withstand in a public social setting that level of communication and trust, then in on an intimate level or behind closed doors or alone, you're not going to be able to build off of anything. And so that's kind of like, if I'm really looking at the positive in that, is like, I'm not afraid to love you openly. I never have been. I almost lost my life, and I got my car taken from me, and I got some loser Jeremy come break into the door because of a stupid janitor. I've had a lot of dumb crap happen to me. Trey, whatever. So, and I say that there's a difference between sexual harassment and seduction, and also there's a difference between seduction and love. Sexual harassment is, even if they amp it up and say, oh, now you can't look at a woman or a person this way, cool. Like, even if you want to be like on a psychological level or whatever, that's fine. You can add that to the list. But also in the art of seduction, that's a whole different, like, I don't even think that that can be the same thing as sexual harassment at all. I think that, well, for me, I have I have learned to use my skills for good. And I think that seduction, everybody's entitled to. And I think that seduction is often so associated with graphic things, but it's not like explicit stuff, and it really isn't. I think that, seduction is powerful for self. And if you don't encapsulate in yourself power of seduction, then it doesn't work. And then there's also, like, love, and love is so much different. Can seduction be involved in love? And well, yes, but with love, I mean, love is more, I guess, enchanting, enamorating. Like, love is, is different. And so I don't know. I can't speak for this person at all. Maybe it was a coinky dinky. I don't know. But I know I handle myself like a gentleman and I'm not going to let anybody make me feel otherwise. Like, I brought this up to my sister a long time ago. I went to a KOPC and my sister took me. And this lady walked by me. I think I just said hi, hello, something like that. I said hi, hello. But she was being super weird, this lady who walked by me. And I can't remember what the response was, but I don't know, she was being super, super weird. It was weird. And she looked out of place anyway. But then I told my sister, I said, hey, like, I know not supposed to be, there's no, not supposed to be sexual harassment and or whatever, but I just said hi to this lady, and her response was weird. And my sister's like, "Well, who cares? Like, you know that you weren't in the wrong. Like, that wasn't your intention. So what does it matter?" And that's kind of like how I feel now. Like, I know that I wasn't in the wrong. I know that that wasn't my intention. So why does it matter? And that's kind of maybe what the positivity that I'm taking out of this is like, knowing that what everybody else thinks doesn't matter. It's what I know for certainty within my heart about how I feel about this person. I respect them. I respect them enough to know there's a time and place for everything. And more than respecting them, I have trusted so much in God and I have prayed so much. And I know that if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And Felix's mother-in-law told me, she told me in Spanish, but she said, "You don't stop at asking God for that woman. You keep praying to God for that woman, and she will be in your life." And I have not stopped, and I won't stop. You There's way more to the story, but I'll just leave it at that for now. I got to get back to homework. I'm way behind on homework, but and I got to make this video about my gummies and eat, and it's probably going to be a long night, and I'm trying not to make it a long night because homework's due, class is over, I got to enroll in well, I'm already enrolled in classes, but I got to get that sorted out. So I just got so much to do that I'm not going to let that one incident hold me back. If anything, I'm going to use it to like motivate me, and hopefully she sees now the man that I am or the gentleman that I am, that I wouldn't chase after her or whatever it may be. If she felt the need that she absolutely had to do it, I have to trust in her. I trust in her, and more importantly, I trust in God. You know, I know that a woman will fail me. I know that a woman will, do so many things to me. Bring me happiness, bring me sadness, but I know that God will not stop loving me, and that God has time and time again always shown me what is promised to me, that I've never had to chase anything in my life, and I never will, and I can if I wanted to because I can hardly get up. So I can say that because it's me. But tomorrow I'm gonna go to the Disability Expo, and hopefully I'll see some cool stuff. I'm balling on a budget. It may not seem like it, but I really am. Especially because I spent like 60, almost $70 just to get there and back. So that's almost $100 just to get there and back. So I hope this expo is worth it. But I did it for myself. Like, I think that going out there for so long, I've been just, I have no social life. And for so long, and like I know my life is never going to be normal, it just won't. But for so long, it's just been me in a wheelchair. And I have been around so many able-bodied people telling me things are gonna be okay, or how to pick myself up, how to move, and how to heal. Even able-bodied doctors, you know, able-bodied doctors that tell me, that question me, like Dr. Nweki. He was like, well, you came this way. Yeah, because first of all, I went in with my stroller because I don't trust the wheelchair guys. And I got a badass new wheelchair that I don't want them to mess up because they always mess it. My first wheelchair got messed up. And I didn't want them to mess up this one. I still don't want them to mess up this one. But now they're better about it. Like they know where to strap me down and lock me up so I don't move. And I don't want to mess up my new wheelchair. And I also didn't want to bring the power chair because the power chair is so big. But I have these able-bodied doctors, try to tell me like I can get up. No, I don't think that the reality, like they can see it on X-ray or whatever. I don't think the reality, and I don't want to go too much into it, but I don't think that the reality, I survived something that I have been watching videos of people go through what I went through. And I would say, like, every single video, people don't make it. I have seen some where they get grazed and don't make it. And I have seen some where, you know, the vehicle, like, catches them or snags them on maybe just like the legs and stuff, and they get by. But for the most part, when I look at the ones more comparable to mine, or relatable to mine, those people don't survive it at all. But you know, I pray, I pray, and I say, God, whoever it is that did that to me, which I have a good idea who it may be. And to be honest, yesterday I got a really bad hand. This one. And I honestly should have taken my medicine yesterday a lot sooner. But my spasms have been getting better in my legs, everywhere, except for now. I don't know if it's because I'm doing more, but right here, I've never had spasms right here, but now I'm getting them right here. So I don't know why that is, but it's like when you fix one problem, another problem happens. But I started having spasms right here, and I don't know. I mean, I'm used to the ones in, like, I'm used to my hands getting a certain way, like, because of this. But my OT was like, "Your hands are shaking." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm used to it." And whenever they said that, then some guy comes out looked just like Robert Eckler. But it kind of like came together for me because I was thinking about the last time I saw him and I said, "Can we pray?" And I think maybe part of me already knew. But when we put our hands together, his hands were shaking. And I don't know why, just everything just came to me. But I was like, he has to live with that. These people that have so much envy and animosity towards me and are dumb, just pure dumb, can't have an intellectual conversation and try to just come to people and have a discussion and say, you know, what is going on in your life? What led to you being here so we can sort it out? Instead of fucking wiping a young man out that had good intentions and some form of hope that someone gave him, that I'm gonna get the help that I need to get out of here. But they fucked that all up. And now I'm probably one of the I'm not somebody to really mess with at this point. And I say that in the nicest and the best way possible. I'm not somebody that will be taken advantage of anymore, not even by my immediate family. My mom asked for the handicap placard on Black Friday, and I said no because it's not for you, it's for me. And I mean, I say that lightly. I mean, I don't mean anything bad by it, but you know, I just, I even with my handicap placard, like I only, uh, like if somebody's taking me, I only use it, because it is for me. It's not for anybody else. And I think what sucks about my handicap placard is it's expired, and the only way that you can use it is if you have a car, and I don't have a car, I just have my Lamborghinis. So I wish there was a way. I don't know if maybe I can buy like a handicap placard like that's just generic so that I can have it. But I'm pretty sure maybe on Amazon or something I can find something because I don't have a car to register and the one I have is expired. So I mean, not that it matters. Most of the time they don't care, but still, with my luck, it'll be somebody that cares. And so I really need to figure out the handicap placard situation. See if I can find one like on Amazon or something online that is just like a generic one I can put in there. Anyways, I've been on here long enough. I gotta get to it. Pray for me. I pray for you. I pray for my social relationships, my relationships, and I pray to God that I will be a better man tomorrow, and I'm not taking that experience to heart. I'm trusting in God that, you know, I know that, I feel some form of healing. As bad or as twisted as that moment was, like, I feel a lot better. Like, this person means a lot to me in the worst situations or in the best. This person means a lot to me. And I have to trust in that. I have to trust that nothing's going to compromise that communication because if I allow situations like that where other people and a lot of other people are involved, then that communication is not going to withstand much. And I just have to trust in that if I can trust in myself and trust in that person, everything's going to be okay, then, you know, that's something that we'll get through much more. That's a lot of people in that hospital. So if I'm strong enough to, with that interaction, to not lose faith and hope and not let it really mess with my happiness, then I think that speaks more about my character than anything else. Most people, like, that's what I said about, you know, most guys, they freak out, most guys, or just anyone, like, they can't, most people, some people, they spaz out. Like, I know because anytime I was around this woman, this dude would spaz out, the janitor would spaz out. Anytime, whatever, like Jeremy, these people, anytime I walk down that hallway or something, people would spaz out, something's going on, and nothing's going on. Everybody's homeless, everybody's broke. So, there's nothing going on. And I heard in this movie, Puncture, they say sometimes the brightest light comes out of the darkest place. And she was that bright light for me. And the fact that I saw her there at the hospital just makes that phrase or that statement so much more true, so factual to me, that the brightest light comes out of the darkest place. So I'll just leave it at that. Peace.